What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and allow me to apologize right at the beginning. Had some technical difficulties, a little bit behind the curtain. Normally, this show is put together in partnership with Bleacher Report, and you can access it in the Bleacher Report app as well as on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. But the audio function was broken. I could not get it to work. You all saw me. If you were there, I tried for what was like 15 minutes. So we are streaming exclusively on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, and I'll make sure to get all this worked up. We obviously put the show up ready for you to jump in after each and every Cowboys game. That will exist in the future. We'll just have to figure out what happens. But we are here for an episode of the Postgame, and the Dallas Cowboys did just play a football game, if we want to call it that, a 40-40 tie against the Green Bay Packers. Shout out to Saad Youssef, good friend of mine from The Athletic, had an amazing tweet about this, said the Cowboys improved to 0-6-1 against the Packers in AT&T Stadium's history. The Cowboys had lost their previous 6 games to the Packers in the building, both Cowboys Stadium and AT&T Stadium, because the Cowboys had lost to them obviously before the corporate branding took place in 2013. The Packers, of course, obviously won a Super Bowl in the building. This was a very weird game. Caleb says, thank God I don't have work tomorrow. Congratulations to you, Caleb. Chris says, stock down AT&T Stadium, clock operator. Jonathan says, the last time the Cowboys tied was on November 28th, 1969. Wow, 56 years. Calvin Watkins, the Dallas Morning News, sharing in this moment. It's 11:35 p.m. Central Standard Time in our live moment for any of you who catch the rewatch. And Calvin Watkins, the Dallas Morning News, tweeting out that Jerry Jones is still talking and Brian Schottenheimer has not met the media yet. So yeah, I mean, this was kind of one of those games. Caleb says, honestly, I don't hate the result. Get to stick it to the Packers and keep riding the tank train. I suppose this was technically the best result from a draft capital standpoint, right? Like the Cowboys own the first round picks for both of the teams in this game. So technically nobody won. And I guess that helps. But this, let's kind of put this thing in its proper place here. And if you're new around here, we do this after every Dallas Cowboys game. Like I said on YouTube, like the video, subscribe, tell a friend. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on social media anyway. RJ Ochoa, X, Instagram, Threads, RJ.Ochoa on TikTok, RJ.Ochoa at SBNation.com is how you email me if that is your thing. So I feel very unsatisfied as a Dallas Cowboys fan. And I would imagine that a Green Bay Packers fan would feel the same. I feel very unsatisfied. I feel like my team, our team, my offense, at least our offense played well enough to win this game. Even if they had lost this game, I think we would be saying this. The tie is unsatisfactory in that manner. Obviously, a tie is preferred over a loss. That goes without saying. But the Cowboys should have won this game. They should have won this game several times. Like the last instance that they were in this building at AT&T Stadium that also almost ended in a tie. Granted, this one actually did. The George Pickens touchdown late in the game should have won this game the way it should have won the game against the New York Giants before Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors and all that stuff. Or was it Malik Neighbors? I already forget at this point in time. But you get my point. Like the Cowboys should have won this game several times over. It should not have taken this defense. Let's take a look at this here. Let's put this up on your screen. We now have the capability to do this. So the Cowboys defense, I want to be kind. I really do. I want to be kind and I want to say nice things about them, but I don't know what there is to say. Let's focus on the Packers possessions here. This column right here where I'm highlighting, these are Packers possessions. So as you can see, Packers started the game with a touchdown, then a punt, a touchdown, punt, fumble, end of half. Look at the second half possessions after that end of half line. Obviously, touchdown, field goal. And those field goals notably were critical because they sent the game to overtime. And then despite Jordan Love's best efforts, ended the game in a tie and not a win for the Cowboys. I mean, my goodness gracious, defense, get a freaking stop. Get one stop. The fumble was awesome. The fumble was amazing. And I will give James Houston and Jadeveon Clowney all sorts of credit. Stock up in my book. I'll write my stock report early Monday morning when I've got coffee coursing through my veins. And it's going to be like 30 minutes in real time in terms of when we all go to bed and wake up on Monday. But, I mean, get a stop. I just don't know how, and I agree. I don't know if you're talking about the defense, Shane. Shane says, oddly enough, it feels like they played better this week. LOL. I think they did. Like they didn't get like gashed. I think that's ultimately what it was. They weren't big plays. It wasn't the big Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, or DeAndre Swift just dodging every single tackle on a little dump off screenplay. Like, so that did not happen. But I mean, this is pathetic. I mean, this is, I mean, to not yield a single stop. And then you look at what the offense had to do. These are the Cowboys' offensive possessions. Now, the offense started off in a rut. There's no doubt about it. And that was true in a certain respect against the Giants, but obviously they found their footing. So triple punt to start, touchdown, the punt in the first possession. They were trying to double dip, obviously, to start the second half. That did not happen. But then Dak Prescott, George Pickens were absolutely nails. Touchdown, and they just could not get a fourth one. I mean, the nerve, the gall. I mean, Dak and the offense suck so much. They couldn't get 4 touchdowns in a row to win the game. And who knows, even if they had gotten that touchdown in overtime to make it, 44-37. I mean, maybe Green Bay would have played with a different sense of urgency, and that would have, turned out whatever. But Jonathan says Dak carried the entire Dallas area tonight. I completely agree with this. And Dak was marvelous. I mean, I don't know any other way to kind of put it. Dak in this game finished 31 of 40 for 319 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, super clean game, almost had a rushing touchdown that was heroic, but Micah Parsons got involved. And I believe that they did credit Micah with that sack. So he did get one, for those of you who play in fantasy or daily fantasy or anything like that. So, I mean, Dak has put this team on his back. He is the best player on this team. He's the most important player on this team. They should have won this game. There are going to be games like Chicago where the offense is not, just like fully and totally perfect, just not fully and totally able to do anything and everything at a kind of flick of the wrist. And in those games, the defense is not going to be able to carry them. They're just not. That's not going to happen. We know that. We talked about this last week following the Bears game. The offense, and it is so unfortunate because these seasons are rare. Dak Prescott is playing incredibly well right now. I think he's playing among the very best quarterback, or he is among the very best quarterbacks in the NFL in terms of the way he's playing at this particular moment in time. He does not have the defensive horses around him to run with him. And because of that, he's having to play the way he is. And it's going to burn them. I mean, it is burning them. They're 1-2-1. I mean, look, you could be the biggest Dak Prescott hater in the world, or you may know the biggest Dak Prescott hater in the world. I imagine that we all do on some level. But I think even the most ardent, even the most stubborn Dak Prescott hater would acknowledge that right now he's playing at a top 5 level in the NFL. Let's just say that. Let's just say that for conversation's sake. If you agree, and I think you do, for, again, conversation's sake, Dak is playing like a top 5 quarterback. His team is 1-2-1. And his team is 1-2-1 because they're weighing him down. Yes, they had the fumble at the end of the first half, and that mattered, right? Every single point mattered here, and even on special teams, obviously, the blocked extra point, shout out to Wanye Thomas and Marquise Bell for running it back. So I don't want to act like the defense did not contribute at all, because they certainly did. We can point to actual, real, tangible examples in where the defense contributed to the performance that culminated in a tie for the Cowboys on Sunday night. But, I mean, to not even be able to garner a stop. I mean, to not even be able to make it difficult. And in fact, I think that, we're sitting here and I don't even want to say that it's coping, but we're processing and saying, oh, well, a tie is better than a loss. That's true. But the only reason that it is arguably a tie and not a loss is because Jordan Love doesn't know how to do this. Jordan Love almost gifted the Cowboys a win here. This was not a matter of, hey, look, the Cowboys defense really buckled at the end. And for real, though, shout out to Trayvon Diggs, obviously, on that, those final few plays before, obviously, the game ended. But this was not a matter of, like, the Cowboys defense winning and turning out a field goal instead of a game go-ahead winning touchdown, obviously. This was a matter of the Packers getting in their own way and Jordan Love not handling this the right way, and in the process cost his team half of a win, right? I would blame Jordan Love, is my point, more than I would praise the Cowboys defense for the operation near the end of the game. Let's see here. I don't see anything from Brian Schottenheimer right now. Twitter is ablaze, as you can imagine. Jerry Jones after the tie. This is a Calvin Watkins tweet that I am reading verbatim. I haven't read this yet, so it's the first time I'm learning these words. Jerry Jones after the tie, per Calvin Watkins, the Dallas Morning News. There's nobody in here, obviously, that I'm going to let in any way I can put the loss or the tie on them. I'm proud of this bunch. They competed their tails off in here tonight. They competed out here at the end when they were tired. I'm proud of them. That's nice and, cool. But let's think about this for a second here, right? It took the full night of the Dallas Cowboys. It took an incredible game from Dak Prescott. It took an incredible game from Brian Schottenheimer. It took the defense existing, aging, right? Performing physical activity. It took, again, the full and total skill set of Dak Prescott, Brian Schottenheimer, who called an amazing game, and the entire offense for you to put up 40 points in your home building and tie. Like, think about that. Like, if that's not good enough, right? What more would you need? Right? What more would you need? And the thing about it is this cannot be counted on as an average thing. This cannot be counted on as something you're going to get week in and week out. This cannot be counted on as something that is going to beat like a metronome. These things are rare. And I don't even mean just this game. These types of seasons, these types of players, these types of play callers, like you have the most important things, and you're not helping them enough. And if you don't believe me, hello, this defense did not generate a single stop in the second half. This defense got absolutely worked by a Chicago Bears team last week that looked, I know they won, but looked pretty lifeless for the most part on offense against a moribund Las Vegas Raiders team earlier on Sunday. Like, this all points in one direction, and I know that we all know that. And I know that I'm not breaking any news to you. And so maybe this is just group therapy at this point in time to kind of say these things out loud. But I mean, man, like, you have really burned this. You have really compromised this. You have really hindered what should be a group that can challenge for the greatest things this game and this sport have to offer. And they just simply can't do it because they're weighed down by everybody around them. And I'm not even fully blaming Matt Eberflus, but I mean, obviously he deserves an inordinate amount of blame. There's blame to go around, baby. We can blame Matt Eberflus. Stock down Matt Eberflus. Stock down Jack Sanborn. Man alive, stock down Jack Sanborn. Stock down Deron Bland. Stock down Trayvon Diggs. Had the nice play at the end there. Obviously hoping Malik Hooker's okay. I suppose Donovan Wilson had some physical moments, but I mean, stock, this defense does not have anyone who you can count on right now. DeMarvion Overshown is hurt. I see some people in the chat talking about him. Maybe he'll be back at some point and will help. But like, think about that for a second. I mean, stock down Leafau. I know I'm on an island here. I think the penalty on Maris Leafau was lame. I think it was a bang thing. I know it looks bad in slow-mo. I'm fine if we disagree there, whatever. But I'm also fine calling it a stock down because at the end of the day, it's a tough situation. But that's not the important thing here. Brian Schottenheimer said on Dak Prescott, if there's a quarterback playing better, I'd like to see him. You're right, dude. And I will say, Brian, if there's an offensive play caller who's more amplifying the quarterback play that they have to work with, I would like to see them. I mean, look, we all had a lot of questions about Brian Schottenheimer as an offensive play caller, and we don't have to relitigate that whole situation, but holy crap, that dude is for real. Holy crap, that dude is awesome. I think we all are. I think I speak for all of us here. I'm so very excited about the future of Brian Schottenheimer and what he offers, and certainly the culture of what he's building. I think that's starting to take root. None of what is happening here I place directly on him. He's the head coach, and so you can't absolve him of all blame here. But I mean, goodness gracious, like it's sad. It's sad that he and Dak Prescott are, I mean, operating in rarefied air in terms of offensive nucleus or offensive tandems across the NFL from a play calling and quarterback standpoint, and that they just have no chance. I mean, these dudes just put up 40. They put up 40, and we all thought they were going to lose. I mean, that's crazy to have be the actual case. Little buddy 81 in parentheses says, thank you for the super chat. Says secondary is going to get healthy. Overshown's coming back. CD's coming back right now. It's how you finish. Let's go, boys. That's definitely an optimistic spin. I'm certainly not denying that that's true, but these things are going to cost you. And I suppose in that sense, these things are going to aid you. These things are going to help you, right? Like that's where the tie is better. And I know we've kind of discussed the negative element of this game. And to be honest, it's really weird. I've been doing this professionally for 10 years, and a lot of people have pointed out, obviously, that there hasn't been a tie for this organization since 1969. Nice, I know. I've never had to deal with a tie. I don't know how. Like, do we do victory polo Mondays? I don't think so, right? Like all of the graphics and things we prepare are like so suited for like, one number and one number. Now we have to like everything is different. Everything is off. Everything is broken and silly and whatever. And I'm being silly, but D-Day 2 says, whoever the Cowboys are playing, bet the over. D is going to give up 30 to 40 every game. Crazy. Philadelphia was their best game. Now I came here and I'm going to say this again right now. And I said this a little while ago, but I came in here after the Philadelphia game, which was also a late finish. I mean, these dudes just can't play a game that ends on time, apparently. We need to implement like a pitch clock or something to move this thing along. But I said then that the defense played well in the second half. They shut Philadelphia down. They did not allow them to score a single point, and they gave the offense a chance to win that game. That was true, and I stand by that. But what I also said was that we were going to gather more data because that was only week one, and we were going to find out if the fact that the Cowboys defense slowed down the Eagles offense was more representative of the Cowboys defense being awesome, or what I think it actually is, more representative of the lightning delay, right? Like we've seen this team play 4 games, and in 3 of them, they got absolutely demolished defensively. The only one that they didn't get demolished in defensively was against maybe the best team in the NFL, one of the better offenses in the NFL, in the Philadelphia Eagles. So do we really believe here, right? Like, do we really believe that they just stood tall and they just locked in and they just got it done against the Eagles offense that night? Or do we believe, because we saw the Cowboys offense, that both offenses were impacted by the lightning delay, both offenses cooled off, and therefore both defenses looked like they played better? I'm not here to talk about week one, but again, I think as we get further and further away from that, as we get more and more data, we can come to that conclusion that that is what was responsible for the defensive success against the Eagles and not anything else. Again, I feel bad taking it away from them, but I mean, the evidence speaks for itself. Let's see here. Dondre Brown says, I feel like we always have either a great offense and a bad defense or vice versa. We can never put a solid full team together. They did put together a solid full team. It was in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and they just crapped the bed. They just didn't get it done. They had solid overall teams in those 3 years, and they just didn't get it done. J-Dog says, I bet the Jets put up 30 on us. I agree. Jonathan says, a win would have put us in a multi-team tie for number 8 in the NFC playoff standings. Look, it's still September, so I'm not, making any big deal about playoffs. Let's see here. Trayvon Diggs said he was surprised by the team's decision to not start him tonight. This is a tweet from Nick Harris of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Said it wasn't a health issue and thought he played well when given the opportunity tonight. Okay, so for anyone who missed this context, before the game it was revealed, members of the local media reporting that Trayvon Diggs was not going to start in this game. That felt somewhat seismic. That felt like a big deal. Trayvon Diggs has obviously been a part of this team for a long time, been a heavy part of this team for a long time. And when we wrote our story about it at Blogging the Boys, one of our staffers, David Howman, included, and I thought it was fair to include, that we didn't know if this was health related. He's obviously been dealing with something, and so maybe it was a matter of that. But obviously confirmation right now is that it wasn't. And look, I know that some sector of the internet has issue with Trayvon Diggs. I don't have an issue with Trayvon Diggs. What I will say is that I talked about a second ago, Brian Schottenheimer's culture taking root. This is a great example of that for me. I mean, do I disagree with that decision on some level, especially given your other options at corner? Yeah, I do. But what I like and what I respect and appreciate is that Trayvon Diggs is one of, look, I know some people have thoughts on him, but I think you can agree with me here. I think you can walk this line of thought. Trayvon Diggs is one of the more respected, one of the more tenured members of the Cowboys defense, Cowboys roster in general. He's gotten a second contract from the team. And typically those players don't get benched. Typically those players don't get, pushed to reserve roles. Typically those teams get, the benefit of the doubt and leniency. And so I recognize that I'm reaching here to make a point, but I am happy that Brian Schottenheimer has established a culture where you have to earn your playing time regardless of who you are. Those things are cliches in sport and in football, but they seem to have some legitimacy, some realism in Brian Schottenheimer's Dallas Cowboys locker room. And so, I'm good with that. Let's see here. Jonathan says, Cowboys undecided team, Astros eliminated from playoff contention. This is not a good time for us, RJ. It was a really rough weekend for all the sports that were. The United States team embarrassed themselves with the Ryder Cup, but Sun Devils won on Friday night. So at least I had that going on. Think Tank Gallery says, sorry from a Dodgers fan. Look, at this point, I'm just ready to enjoy, the playoffs. I'm rooting for my guys, rooting for Breggy, rooting for Tucker, rooting for George Springer, and obviously rooting against the Dodgers, rooting against the Yankees. That just goes without saying. But back to this team. Thank you, Steven, for the super chats. Is in the words of Navy coach Eddie Erdelatz, a tie is like kissing your sister. $10 from the Brandon boys to cover cost of redoing graphics for the rest of the way. Thank you very much, Steven. Appreciate it. Tell the Brandon boys that I said what's up, and that I hope you guys all have some fantastic dinners and lunches this coming week. Really appreciate you all. Yeah, like, I mean, I mean, look, we would have been more upset, obviously, if this team had lost. I think that goes without saying. So cool. Yes, we would rather the team have tied than lost. That, awesome. But man, it just that was a marvelous quarterback performance. That was a marvelous offensive play calling performance. Now, and like, I know we've given a lot of rightful and fair love to Dak Prescott and to Brian Schottenheimer, but dude, Nate Thomas stood up. Dude, TJ Bass stood up. I mean, like, Brock Hoffman stood up. The Cowboys went at this, and really kind of had to make some lemonade, and they did. I mean, they really did. And so that they were able to do that they were able to get, that is not promised. And that, you have to capitalize on that. It's kind of like we say during games, like, that was the drive. You had to get a touchdown there. This was a game. Look, I know people roll their eyes here, but if this is going to be a playoff team, if this is going to be a team challenging for a spot in the postseason, if we want to fast forward several months and look at those conversations, these are the moments. These are the games. These are the differences. Now you're going to be, 10-6-1 instead of 11-6, and that could cost you, and it could save you. I recognize that. You could get in at 10-6-1 because somebody else is 9-8 or whatever. I mean, so, like, those things technically matter, but you just, for all we know, this was the best game that Dak Prescott's going to play all season. And I don't think that's true, but it was that good. It was that good that it's statistically improbable to believe that he's going to play better than that. And he keeps doing it, which is just an enormous credit to him. But you just really, it's ungrateful. It's ungrateful to not make the most out of those. And there are just a number of teams in the NFL that if they had what Dak Prescott and Brian Schottenheimer are offering, and not even just Brian Schottenheimer offering from an offensive play caller standpoint, from a culture standpoint, other things, if different teams had that, they would be building brick on brick on brick on that, and they would be succeeding and challenging and thriving. And instead, you're out here like lucky to get a tie, and that's just not a right way to go about this thing. Shane Davis, what's up, Scooter Magruder? What's going on? Thank God our Florida Gators did not play this weekend. That's all I know, Scooter. Shane Davis says Dallas did. This is a contentious subject, and so we're going to try to approach it with safety gloves. Dallas did prove you can game plan around Parsons pretty well. He's not worth $47 million. Okay. I know. I get it. That a lot of people are mad at Micah, and that Sunday night corroborated a lot of ideas fairly, objectively, as Shane is noting here. I want to say this before I offer my input here. I would not have traded Micah. I would have paid Micah. I would have paid Micah in March of 2024, because if I had been the one in charge, I would have paid Dak and CeeDee in March of 2023, and this would not have been an issue. Okay. I wish that Micah were still on the Cowboys. So I am not bitter. I am not jaded. I am not salty. I am not trolling. That's not where this is coming from. But I will say that it was very interesting to watch him be a relative non-factor in this game from a big moment standpoint. I certainly believe he was a factor. And look, we're all just going off of having watched the broadcast and our initial thoughts and emotions and whatnot. And in terms of splash plays and things like that, the only one that kind of comes to mind is the one that he had. But you can argue that one where he caught Dak Prescott from behind kind of made the difference, right? Like, you can argue that made the difference because Dak Prescott probably scores a touchdown there, and maybe the Packers don't go match that touchdown and whatever. So if you really want to reach, you could say he saved the game for the Packers, or saved them half of a game, a tie instead of a loss, whatever. But it was kind of interesting that he did not. I think that we all thought, in our very sensitive minds, because this team has broken us in a lot of ways. I think we all thought like Micah's going to come in here and Adrian Claiborne this thing. Like, we all, at least that's what I thought. Hand up, I'll speak for myself. I thought that Micah, in all my daily fantasies and all the things I play, I took all the overs, and I said take all the overs. He's going to be super motivated. And NBC, I'm a big fan of NBC and Sunday Night Football, and it was an NBC weekend with the Ryder Cup and Oregon Penn State, which was also a great game. Thankfully, that didn't end in a tie, although it did require overtime. But that being said, NBC, you got to chill out. I mean, my goodness gracious, like you can talk about the trade. Obviously, that's a massive story, but to be like, well, Jerry and him had a deal. What, like we've heard these stories. Like if you're going to tell us Brandon Aubrey went to Notre Dame too, like, you know, you just might as well like do the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, relative to how Micah played, I really anticipated this like WWE like result. I really anticipated Micah coming in and just like in the first Avengers, like Hulk smashing Loki. Like I really thought we were going to get that. And serious kudos. I agree. Serious kudos to the Cowboys for neutralizing him. And look, they obviously know him in a way that nobody does. And I don't know that anybody could have game planned that way, but they did it when they were down some serious offensive players, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. So again, I would have kept Micah. I wouldn't have traded him. I would pay him $47 million if I ran the team, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it was a very interesting, result. Now, a lot of you, I'm seeing some hate on Clowney in the chat. I thought that Clowney was okay in this game. I mean, Clowney was a part of the big moment that James Houston had. Clowney also had, kind of provided some run support. I'm curious to see the PFF grades and things like that in the aftermath of this game. But look, here's the thing. If you thought that like, they signed Clowney, like everything's fixed now, like that, then you're being really unfair to Jadeveon Clowney. Like that he was never going to come in and just like save everything. That was not the plan, or that shouldn't have been the plan, right? Like I think he contributed in a way that makes sense for a dude who just joined this team to contribute. Of the demerits that I will list against this team, Clowney is not in the top 10. That's where I'm at least following Sunday night. Fueled says Donovan looked all right today. I agree. Let's see here. Jerry on paying Dak, but not Micah. Okay, so this must have happened. I obviously haven't watched the Jerry session. But good friend of mine, Bobby Belt, tweeted out that Jerry said this. So Jerry has been talking and saying that, trading Micah, and he talked about this with Maria Taylor and Jason Garrett. He's talked about it a million places, that they traded Micah to get 5 or 6 players in return. I mean, it's just insane logic, but whatever. I'm just telling you what he has said. And so he has said that, they're going to use this as the best way to win a Super Bowl with Dak and blah, 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 blah. So obviously he was asked about this in the aftermath of the game. This is Bobby's transcription of that. Jerry on paying Dak, but not Micah. This is Jerry's quote. It's very simple. Dak was indispensable in my mind. Micah wasn't. It's just numbers. It's that easy. And that's not personal at all. And look, I can totally buy that. I can buy that if you had paid the quarterback on time. I can buy that if you did not drag the quarterback through contract negotiations 3 different times. 3 different times they've done that to Dak Prescott. So if your whole like disposition is, look, we really, really, really want to help Dak. Like Dak is our most important. Dak is our favorite. Dak is our best. Dak is our whatever. Okay, fine. That like I can buy that logic. And if they had paid Dak the first moment that they could and not gotten into the same BS contract standoff with him multiple times over, I would have an easier time believing this. This just seems like trying to reverse justify, use evidence now. I'm sure there's a term for this that's escaping me at the moment. This is purely like, Dak was whatever. No, man, like if you want, look, we're not here to talk about the Micah trade. We're here to talk about this dumb game that the team somehow tied. But my overall take, my TLDR version of what happened with Micah is the Cowboys played their same stupid game and they won a stupid prize. Unlike Dak and CeeDee. Dak and CeeDee were cool enough. I don't even mean to say that because I don't think Micah did anything wrong. Obviously, we can sit here and debate that, but you get my point. Dak and CeeDee were both fine going through the charade, going through the song and dance, and ultimately doing the deal the way it happened. Things got a little bit wonky with Micah. They won a stupid prize. And after they won their stupid prize, after they burned their hand from touching the stove for the 3rd time in a row, even though everybody told them not to do that, all right, they said, well, let's just do what we can. Let's just get what we can out of this because we touched the stove, we burned our hand, we played a stupid game, we won a stupid prize. So, yeah, and now we have to justify it. So we have to say dumb things, and it's impossible to justify because it's a dumb thing. So that's my TLDR version of this. Calvin Watkins noting right now that Dak Prescott said his back is fine when asked about using a heating pad. Melissa Stark reported this during the broadcast. Todd Archer from ESPN noting from ESPN Research, the only tie in NFL history before tonight in which both teams scored at least 40 points was in 1964 between the Oakland Raiders and Boston Patriots, and they tied 43-all. Man, just what a waste. I mean, like just a waste. And I suppose that it wasn't wasted because they probably would have lost. All right. Like if not for that, they would have lost. Caleb's question here is, do we think that Jerry and the front office will learn from their mistakes and start signing players earlier? I think that they have learned. Now, I'm not here to be like, everything's better, sunshine rainbows, but they immediately paid Deron Bland and Hunter Lipke, if you want to include him. But notably, they paid Tyler Smith, right? Like, so think about it. They will not have to deal with this type of drama, this player who earned a contract extension early drama for several years now, because Tyler Smith was their first round pick in 2022. They're not going to have to worry about that problem in 2023 or with their 2023 first round pick because it was Mozzie Smith. And so they're a few years away from this whole like ugly situation being a constant and annual thing, but they're super good at drafting, right? So whatever. Look, this was a remarkable game from Dak Prescott. It was a remarkable game from Brian Schottenheimer. It was a remarkable game from so many role players and so many contributors. I mean, like, I know Jalen Tolbert is an easy target for a lot of people, and I don't think he had a perfect game, but man, he had that clutch catch, right? Like, I don't even think it's fair to call Kevontae Turpin a role player at this point in time. Like, he's developed into such a serious part of the team, but he was awesome. We haven't even mentioned George Pickens, and I tell you this every time because I'm interested in accountability. I was against the trade at first. I didn't trust the Cowboys to handle it. I did say that if you're going to trade for him right now, then give him the contract extension. And what's he doing right now? He's proven exactly that he is worth it. He's proving full in total that he is absolutely worth the contract extension because he is kicking ass. What an awesome game from George Pickens. And that's why you went and got him, right? You went and got him so that if you were in a moment, if you were in a situation, if you were in a pinch where CeeDee Lamb could not play, you had an alpha. You had a guy. You didn't have a 2. You had a 1B, arguably another 1A. I mean, we can label it whatever we want. But George Pickens was the guy, and everybody knew he was the guy. All of Green Bay's defense knew he was the guy, and still, time after time after time after time, he was clutch. I mean, he had the one drop, whatever, fine. I mean, I'm okay, giving him that, given everything else that he did. If we have to put anything on George Pickens or fault him for anything, it's that he scored too fast, right? Like what a real actual problem that is so stupid that it's a problem, right? That I think we all thought that. I know I thought it, but I'm going to assume that you thought it, that after George Pickens scored the go-ahead touchdown in the final minute of regulation, that we all thought, this is awesome. But dude, do you not know who plays defense for your team? Because you definitely just scored too fast, and they're definitely going to piss this away. And then what did they do? They exactly, totally, 100% unequivocally pissed it away. And then they pissed it away again in overtime, and they almost pissed it away in a losing effort in overtime, but Jordan Love managed to piss it away several times. I did not think I would use that expression back to back to back to back like that, but it just kind of worked out that way. Let's see here. Nothing else here, but I just, man, I am so bummed that they apparently Dak was asked, I just saw this while walking into the locker room. Obviously, we mentioned this, but this is a very popular expression. The ties are like kissing your sister. So Dak was asked, is a tie like kissing your sister? He was really asked this walking into the locker room, and he said, good thing I ain't got one. That's a good answer from Dak. But yeah, I mean, man, Loco says, O-line had some great run blocks tonight. They were awesome. I mean, they were, look, and Fueled SN says Packers fans crying about missed holding calls is rich. It is rich. I think we can acknowledge, and I had an issue with the Maris Liu foul call, but I recognize him on an island there. Dak got away, I think, with the intentional grounding. Like, we can all be honest here, right? Like, we can all be honest that he got away with the intentional grounding, and that's okay, right? Like, those things happen. So, hey, it is what it is. Like, it's officials aren't perfect, despite the fact that they work for like a multi-billion-dollar corporation. They're not perfect. I see you, Jonathan says stalker Brian Flournoy. Awesome game for Brian Flournoy. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I mean, you really can't. I don't think you can point to any offensive player and say that they did anything but like act like a hero. I mean, they really were heroes. The entire offense, like relative to their respective, jobs, relative to their respective expectations, relative to their respective X's and Y's and Z's, the offense was full of heroes on Sunday night. And name one defensive hero. Name one even like defensive sidekick. Like, remember that movie Sky High, where like the kids are sorted as superheroes and sidekicks, and it's like it's a point of shame to be like sorted as a sidekick. There weren't even any sidekicks, right? There were no sidekicks on the Cowboys defense tonight. There were just people existing. There were just people, delaying the inevitable, and not even delaying it long, right? Like just delaying the inevitable in microscopic ways. And ultimately folding when it mattered the most. I mean, it's really, really, really unfortunate. Shane Davis says, I can't believe how awesome Javonte has been. That is, look, there are not a lot of opportunities to give the front office their flowers and say, the Billy Madison, you were right, we were wrong, you're smart, we're dumb, you're beautiful, we're ugly. Like I would say that there's a handful of moments in a given year, where the front office is on the right end of that expression. This is one of them. This is one of those, hey, dude, I'm not going to speak for anyone other than myself, but I thought this was dumb. And not only did I think it was dumb, I made fun of them for not playing him in the preseason and acting like he was awesome, and they had every right to. I mean, I think that they've proven that. Steven, thank you for the super chat again, says the timeout after the Tolbert catch was a head scratcher. Hurry and get to the line and punch it in, right? I think they were worried that, whatever. And I think they also were trying to catch their breath. I think that maybe they, were, it's Happy Gilmore. Thank you, not Billy Madison. That's embarrassing. Jeff's raw milk. I can't believe that. I'm embarrassed for mixing those up. But yeah, I think the timeout was just to kind of catch their breath. I will say too, on the subject of timeouts and things of that ilk, I'm getting nitpicky here, and Brian Schottenheimer has done way more than enough good to like focus on things like this. So this is just saying it. When it's 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 or whatever from your like own 35-yard line and your offense hasn't done anything, dude, no one thinks you're going to go for it because Dak's up there barking. Like no one believes that. And fine, you want to do it because maybe they'll jump off sides. Okay, cool. Go do it. And then after the Packers call a timeout, to go out there and do it again, just it's a little silly. That's all. I don't have I don't even really have any issue with it. But I mean, it was just a little silly. That's all. But I'm not here to question the offensive side of this operation. I think they've earned their benefit of the doubt several times over. This is a note from NFL Research. Shout out to Dante Koplowitz Fleming. Good follow on Twitter. Teams with 40 or more points and no turnovers were 300-0 at home, including the playoffs in the Super Bowl era. I'm going to say this again. So this pertains to the Cowboys, if that isn't obvious, because obviously the Packers, did this too, but this pertains to the Cowboys because they were the home team. Teams with 40 or more points and 0 turnovers were 300-0. This had happened 300 times, okay? And literally all of them won the game until the Cowboys defense showed up on Sunday night against the Green Bay Packers. Cowboys defense said, that's a pretty little record you got there. It's a pretty little streak. It ain't going to hit 301 because we're going to get there. We're going to mess this up. And how are we going to mess it up? We're going to mess it up so badly. We're going to mess it up in such an extravagant way that you're not going to believe it. And you're going to know that we're going to mess it up in an extravagant way. And we're still going to find a way to outdo ourselves. Because that's what we do. 300-0. This had happened 300 times. And this, I didn't finish reading, but it was the home team, right? That's why this applies to the Cowboys, because the Packers were on the road here. So 300 times someone was in their home building, put up over 40 or more points, and had no turnovers. 300 times somebody was in their home building and put up 40 plus points and did not. Do you know how difficult that is? Do you know how I know you all know. I'm really not even talking to you, but do you know how difficult it is to put up 40 points or more, obviously, but to put up 40 points and not have a single turnover? Do you know how impossible that is? It's insanely difficult. It's not possible, but somehow it had happened 300 times. So, I mean, it's crazy for me to say that it's impossible when it had literally happened 300 times, but still in the like overall history of the NFL, we're talking about a very small percentage of time because it's a very difficult thing to achieve. And when you achieve it, normally you just kick the other team's ass, right? But no, the 2025 Dallas Cowboys said, bet. All right, we got this. You think we you think we can't mess this up? Who do you think we are? We'll find a way to mess anything. I mean, that's absurd. It's truly amazing. Let's see here. Jonathan says Cowboys defense equals Ravens defense 2025. Jeff's raw milk says all records are meant to be broken. I don't know what to say about that kind of stuff. And look, this happened last week when Caleb Williams had like whatever it was, his crazy stat or whatever, blah, blah. That's going to be what they do. If you don't think Justin Fields, and I know we already talked about this earlier, but if you don't think Justin Fields is going to have like some insane, like, I don't know, whatever, crazy Jets record or something, like it will happen. If you don't think Ashton Genty is going to go all the way off when the Cowboys go to Las Vegas, you got another thing coming. The Cardinals look defunct on offense. Oh, baby, you got a date with the Dallas Cowboys defense. Why don't you see them? They'll get you right. I mean, this is just crazy. And like the Packers are a good team. So, it's one thing to Garrett, by the way, said 301 record. Yeah, I think a Cowboys Micah that keeps it 301-0. It's not 301, it's 300-0-1. They didn't lose. So let's just be clear. they did not lose, but they were so bad that they overcame something that was 300 out of 300. It's really the point. I just really am astounded. I mean, I'm sad. I really am. I'm not trying to be negative, but because there was so much good tonight, but I'm sad that there was so much good because it feels pointless. I mean, we said in the aftermath of the Bears game that this offense has to play perfect. They truly do. And I think that's evidenced by what happened at the end, right? This offense, as we noted, their final possessions of the game, second half. So they had the punt, obviously, to start the second half, and then went touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And that last touchdown, the George Pickens touchdown, like, I want you to think about this for a second. The Cowboys, all of a sudden, were down by 4 points. They got the ball with 1 minute and 45 seconds. Like, let's set the stage for this properly here. Cowboys get the ball after the offense has already done an extraordinary amount of work on the night, but they get the ball. There's 1 minute and 45 seconds left. They have a single timeout at their back. They're down by 4 points. They have to have a touchdown. It has to happen if they're going to win. They can't settle for a field goal. It doesn't matter that Brandon Aubrey could hit it from the moon. No, they have to have a touchdown. And not only do they have a touchdown, but they say, we are so good, we are so functional, we are so efficient that we can get this touchdown in under 5 plays. 4 plays, 54 yards. Some of that obviously was aided by the incredible return that Kevontae Turpin had, which was another contribution that you got to the overall cause. I mean, in not even in a minute, it was 1 minute and 2 seconds of game clock. In 1 minute and 2 seconds of game clock, the Cowboys said, we got your back. Too fast, man. That was too fast. Y'all, you idiots. All right, because you should have known what was coming around. Like, think about how reliable that is. But think about it. Like, in the second half, their greatest crimes, if you want to call them that, were the punt in their first possession to start the second half, and they were not able to double dip, obviously. But then they fell down and they went and scored. They went and scored, obviously, to take the lead, and they got the field goal at the very end. So unless they are perfect, unless they truly, totally, absolutely are perfect, it's probably not going to be enough. And it may be enough for a tie if the opposing quarterback forgets how overtime works and almost throws the game away, right? Like, it's crazy that that's the real thing. And a lot of people have pointed this out. Look, it is, I know that we have some younger fans, and I know that this is a divisive subject for some people, but if you are of a certain age, or if you are willing to have a certain level of objectivity with your mindset, this is the Tony Romo era. I mean, the worst part of the Tony Romo era, the best part of him individually, but the worst part from a team standpoint. Like, it is amazing how they have done this again. I mean, it actually is amazing. It's difficult to achieve. It's difficult to fall so ass backwards into a franchise quarterback and abuse your relationship with him so much, and then have him, in spite of all that, play so heroically for you and lift up the players around him that aren't better, that even though they could be, because you're in full and total control of that, and then for you to fail him. I mean, it's just it's a sad thing. I mean, look, I'm not here to like, point at Jalen Hurts or anything or whoever. Like, obviously, we do that a lot, because they are division rivals and whatnot. But I think we all agree that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts as far as playing the position is concerned. But it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not here to launch that debate or say anything or cast any shade. It doesn't matter because, and I don't fault Jalen Hurts for this at all. He doesn't have to be great. He doesn't even have to be, and I think he's very good, but he doesn't even have to be kind of good sometimes because the machine is so amazing, because the organization works so functionally, because it is a fluid, forward-thinking operation from everyone in the building, top down. So you don't have to have someone be perfect just to have a chance. You can have people have bad days and other people around them will lift them. But here, no. Right now, your quarterback, the most important player, the one who takes all the heat for you and whatnot, he has to be perfect. He has to thread a needle just to get a tie. I mean, he has to thread a needle despite putting up over 40 points, 40 exactly in this case, and having no turnovers. And that involves other people, not just the quarterback. Let's be fair to Javonte Williams and all the receivers, all the pass catchers. You get my point. But but Dak, you didn't score a touchdown at the end. You had to settle for a few. You got caught by Micah Parsons. That was it. If you hadn't, you would have been okay. Caleb says, I really only caught the back half of the Romo era, and it feels disgusting to see what we've done with Dak era. We've wasted 9 years of his career. It's really tough. It was hard to live through that, just because you felt bad, and then that is why the debate gets so divisive for the Dak and Romo fans when they have that debate, just because it's tough. Tyler Guyton, this is Patrick Walker of DallasCowboys.com. Tyler Guyton this is Patrick's tweet. Tyler Guyton tells me he did, in fact, suffer a concussion. He will need a clear protocol in order to take the field against the Jets. So that's something to mark. Opta has this stat. Tonight marks the first game in NFL history where both quarterbacks, and so Packers fans have a right to be upset about this too, where both quarterbacks had 30-plus completions, completed 70% of their passes, threw for over 300 yards, threw 3 or more touchdown passes, and had 0 interceptions. And look, as bad as we're feeling about this, our team isn't the one who gave up 2 first-round draft picks for a pass rusher. And that isn't Micah Parsons' shade, but if I was a Packers fan, I'd be saying like, well, dude, we took their guy. Like that was supposed to be the difference. How was Dak this good? So again, I mean, it could be worse depending on how you look at it. Oh, man. I mean, they tied. I mean, again, I would take that over a loss 100 out of 100 times. It's just weird. It's hard to like reckon. So they're 1-2-1. And look, I think the tie will be beneficial. I mean, look, let's be honest. Like let's close this way. I will speak for myself, but if you want to, speak your truth, I'll be fine with it. I said with full conviction that the Cowboys were going to lose this game. I said that, and I thought that, and they did not lose, right? They didn't win, but they did not lose. And so this will be a bit of a difference, right? Like, or it has the potential to be a bit of a difference. It has the potential to save them at some point down the road, obviously, in some, no pun intended, tiebreaker. I mean, it was better than the predicted outcome, right? And better than the predicted outcome in terms of the offense being remarkable. If that can be, if even a shell of that can be a constant throughout the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs, right? Then you have a chance, right? Like, and I think that's exemplified in this game. If you have a franchise quarterback, a star playmaking wide receiver, an innovative, creative, bold, cunning, aggressive offensive play caller, and a head coach who sets a culture that demands and instills accountability, you can go toe-to-toe with some of the best teams in the NFL, which the Cowboys did on Sunday night against the Packers. We wish they would have won, but, it kind of is what it is. Okay, so Monday, again, thank you to everyone who powered through and jumped to the new link. I know that was complicated. I know it's difficult to ask to do that, so I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Monday, I'll have a video, winners, losers. We'll probably, if you want, we'll do that live, and kind of, after we've had a night's sleep, not a long one, obviously, but have a stock report up at bloggingtheboys.com, and we'll kind of do the autopsy and all this, sort of thing. But it was a phenomenal sports weekend. Most of my teams lost except for the Sun Devils, like I said, but it was still, Jonathan says no shirt Monday. Again, I can't wear a polo. We can't wear a polo, but it also like not a t-shirt. Like, I think this should be like one of those polos that has a zipper or like what is it called? Like a Henley. I'm talking about like it's a Henley shirt that it's got buttons, but it doesn't have a collar. That's kind of what tomorrow is. It's kind of a polo, but you don't really actually get the collar. So hey, whatever. But so got all that stuff coming Monday. My name is RJ Ochoa. If you want to hang out with me on social media, I am at RJ Ochoa most places. Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikToks, RJ.Ochoa. Got stuff coming out all the time. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. It really means the world to me. I love talking Dallas Cowboys football with all of you, my internet friends, and I appreciate that you were able to follow me over to the new link in spite of our technical errors. Thank you so much, and I hope you get some rest, and I hope the coffee in the morning tastes great, and I will see you then. But thank you, everybody, for hanging out, and we will see you next time.